Welcome, Nick. Glad to have you here.
Good to be
Again,
here.
actually, because we did one already a few weeks ago.
That's right.
Actually, the other episode is going to drop this week, the one we did together. But anyways, glad to have you again. Nick Connor, performance coach for men for many years.
Yeah, a few years, man.
Yeah, so tell me, tell the audience a little bit about kind of how you got into coaching. What do you do exactly? How do you help guys? And just for the people who don't know you yet, like what do you do exactly?
Yeah, coaching, one-on-one coaching primarily. Been doing it now since 2014. Never expected to be a coach. Never expected to be a coach, really. I started off wanting to speak in the youth market to kids. And I read a Inc. magazine article back in, this is probably like 2011. This girl that I was dating, she got me a Inc. magazine subscription.
Okay.
Nice little gift, nice little birthday gift. And in that, there was this story about this guy named Josh Shipp, and he had this program called Youth Speaker University. And it was the first time I attached that you could get paid to speak, and if you weren't like a pro athlete at the highest level, or an amputee or a military veteran or something like that, you could just share your story and impact others in a positive way, and you could happen to get paid for that. And at the time, I was transitioning out of sports. I played minor league professional baseball, and I was lost, man. Like had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. My entire life was built around this identity of being the pro athlete. And so when I read that magazine article, I was inspired to inspire others. And I started on that path, stumbled my way into making a little bit of money, and moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, where a mentor of mine was really successful in the corporate speaking space. And he basically told me, like, if this is the route you want to go, you should consider getting a full-time job because it's going to be a long road to get to the point where you can sustain yourself. And at 30 years old, like, I needed to make money. I needed to, sustain myself. So he suggested I start looking into some other opportunities. And I stumbled on an opportunity to work for a consulting firm called Southwestern Consulting, which a lot of people here in Estonia will know about.
That's how you met your wife, you told
me. That's how I met my wife. Yeah. But a lot of the kids here, they go work and sell books door to door in the summertime. That's what a lot of Estonians in the local area where we're at, they go do that. Well, they introduced me to the consulting side of that same company. And I went through like a year-long interview process. And luckily, they brought me on. And so I started as a sales coach. And it was exactly what I needed because I learned how to sell coaching. I learned how to structure my day, be an entrepreneur, really have a lot of autonomy. I worked for them, but I was an independent contractor. So anyway, I did that for 5 years, man, and learned the game of coaching. And then when I met my wife, I moved to Europe and had to figure out how to make it on my own, and decided to launch my own coaching brand. And always felt like I wanted to work with men directly. I liked working with men when I was a sales coach. And then during that time, I also started a men's group through the church I was a part of, and really enjoyed helping men overcome just their fears, their limiting beliefs, their low confidence. Like, I really enjoyed helping guys with that stuff, and decided to launch my own product, man. So I've been pretty much doing men's coaching full time since 2018.
Wow.
Yep.
Nice. And you did that as well because you also struggled with self-confidence at some point, with the wrong beliefs, etc. Or
yeah, I mean, confidence. If we think of confidence, right? Like, I like to think of confidence. There's different types of confidence. There's false confidence, and I had a lot of that.
Like situational confidence, as we talked about before, also a little bit.
Well, that's maybe another category, but false confidence is more of what I had. Meaning, I was really confident in a sport environment, but that was not. There was confidence there because I put in work and I was good at it and I reached a high level, so that was real. But outside of that environment, I was not very confident. But I would show up in those environments as if I was that same guy. But that confidence was very surface level. It was about how I dressed. It was about my physique, maybe the girl that I was with, or bottle service or some of the things that I was doing at the time.
Based on ego more.
It was based on ego. It was just a false confidence. There was nothing really backing it internally. So other elements of confidence that were there were unconditional or conditional confidence, meaning if I was playing sports, I was super confident. If I had a great outfit on, I was super confident. Good looking girl, confident, very conditional. But you remove those things. Let's say maybe I was in a room full of more guys that I perceived to be more successful than me. I would shut down. So my confidence was very conditional. And then you got unconditional confidence, which is more of what I aspire to now. And I would say I definitely have achieved now, which is very internal. It doesn't really matter what room I walk into. It doesn't matter who's around. It doesn't even really matter how I feel. I have a certain confidence, a knowing about who I am. And that's ultimately what I teach my guys as well, is to get to that place of unconditional confidence where it's not about external validation. We bring that validation almost entirely internal. And that's how you achieve unconditional confidence. Yeah.
Yeah. So for you, how did you turn that around with faith, with fitness, with I don't know, gratitude? Like, what's your kind of blueprint to be able to have that unconditional confidence for guys listening?
I mean, all of the above, but for me, I had to realize that nothing or no one was going to maybe make me feel or experience the things that I wanted to feel and experience like I had with sports. I had to go out and be intentional about figuring out what that pursuit, what that purpose was going to look like. And of course, like fitness became something that was easy for me to derive confidence from. But it wasn't just about the way that I looked. Like, it was about the discipline, the commitment, educating myself, learning it. I derived a lot of purpose from that discipline personally, right? So that helped pull me out of it. That was a staple for me. But the biggest one was my faith, man. Like, finding faith, finding something bigger than myself to believe in. That became a discipline and a commitment.
Yep.
That became something that I showed up for. And ultimately those external things like going to the gym, our body, our physical body is in some ways what we see in the mirror is external to us. Going to a church, God, these are all things that are external. But the thing that I think I really gravitated towards early on, I didn't understand this, is it was the commitment. It was the discipline. It was the follow through. It was showing up for it. That's what really fulfills us. That's ultimately what I was experiencing back then. I couldn't put my finger on why I was getting so much energy from these things. What was it giving me? Yeah, I loved going to the gym and working out, but what was it really doing for me? This is what I believe it does for us. When we make those commitments, we say we're going to go to the gym, then we go to the gym. Yeah. These are the things that really build that unconditional confidence and fulfill us. This is purpose, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's so true. So true what you're saying about like really sticking to your word and having integrity with yourself. Because integrity is really the thing that I think will make or break you. If you lack integrity and you do things that you know are bad for you, but you still do them anyway, or you say you're going to do something, but then you don't do it because your feelings get in the way, those type of things are killing your self-esteem. It kills your self-esteem when you do them, you know?
No doubt.
So showing up consistently, whether you feel like it or not, is a game changer. What about, I mean, your faith? Were you always into faith? Like, were you also that, I mean, you're not so religious. I mean, maybe you are. I mean, I don't know. Actually, are you extremely religious? Are you kind of moderate? What's your level of faith? And how did you get into that? And were you always like that?
It's funny because religion, I think so many people they just have a trigger or something around the word religion, right? I don't love the word religion personally. To me, it's more about the personal relationship that we could have if we commit to it with God, with Jesus. So for me, church was an environment, a place that I went in order to get into that relationship. But my faith really deepened outside of the four walls of church. It deepened in, at first, a 6 a.m. men's group where I was in a room with a bunch of gray hair guys that caught my attention. Why? They were married. At the time I was single, I wanted to be married. They had successful businesses. They drove nice cars. They had nice homes, but they were showing up and they believed in something bigger than themselves. So I got in a room full of those guys at 6 a.m. That's where my faith started to really take off, because I was seeing the fruit of that commitment, of that discipline in men that I aspired to be more like. So that helped me deepen my faith. In addition to that, outside of religion, meaning the four walls of a church, I started my own men's group. And we had just powerful moments, stories of people overcoming through their commitment to God, just incredible things happening. Some would say miracles.
Transcendence.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, it's just, my faith doesn't really have anything to do with a religion or the four walls of a church. My faith has always deepened outside of church. And that to me is what the relationship is about. It's any relationship, you got to show up for it. You have to pour into it and work at it. And that's what I've done over the years. Now living in Estonia, one of the least religious countries in all of Europe, my faith continues to be a pillar in my life, but I dedicate time to it every single morning. So it works for me. I think it works for everybody. I've been in a fortunate position to just share my own personal testimony, which is one of the greatest gifts that any of us have, is to share our testimony. You might not know what testimony means. What does it mean? It's just your story. Share your story. And when you share a story where you've overcame things, maybe because you believed in something bigger than yourself, that inspires people. But that is actually biblical. One of the greatest gifts that we have to give as Christians is to share our testimony with others of how God is moving and working in our life. And so I get to do that all the time with clients. And it just so happens that some of my clients have decided to give their life to Christ and become a follower as well. Not that that's my ultimate goal. That's not a part of my coaching. But I believe people talk about what they care about. So if you're around me enough, you're going to feel that wave. You're going to hear me talk about God. You're going to see me listening to Christian music. It's just going to come up, not because I'm trying to, but because people talk about what they care about, and I'm no different.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful, and we related to that as well, because I'm also, I mean, as I age more and as I mature more, I am also a lot more into religion. Yeah. I didn't grow up as a Christian. I'm not a Christian. I'm more of a Muslim guy. But we, in Islam, we say we're all people of the book. Like Jesus is also in the Quran. Yep. Muhammad is not in the Bible because it came before, but it's still the same thing. It's like the same values, kind of, the same principles. Like all these religions, it's kind of the same. We're all brothers, etc. Now, some believe in Christ, some believe in Allah, whatever. Yeah. Myself, I grew up more in a the Muslim world.
Okay. Your parents are Muslim?
Yeah. Okay. My mom, she prays a lot. My dad, he's not Muslim. He's Muslim by family, but he drinks. He doesn't care. He's okay. But myself, I'm more like my mom. Like as I grow up now, I pray more. I get more connected to that. I drink less, especially when when I go to countries like Dubai or all these countries, and I see how values are held, like the values like family, like sobriety, like being disciplined, etc. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah. Like some countries are, I don't know. Islam is a beautiful religion when it comes to like sticking to your word, and there's no gray area. Like you have to do things and abide by them, and it's beautiful, and it keeps you. It makes you live with integrity, and prayer recenters you. It's like a meditation. Yeah. Anytime you pray, it recenters you, and but I really resonate with the Bible too, because I read multiple quotes from the Bible.
Good for you, man.
It's really beautiful, and every time I go to a church, I just love it. It's I feel connected to that. And one quote that I really like in the Bible, it's I think it is broad is the road that leads to destruction, and narrow is the road that leads to light. Something like that. Like broad is the road that leads to hell, and narrow is the road that leads to light. Something like that. And I really like that, because in this day and age, it's absolutely true. Like so many distractions, so much noise, so many ways to destroy yourself with all these distractions. And porn, food, social media.
Yeah.
And the road to destruction is so broad. There's so many things.
Yeah.
But narrow is the road that leads to light. Just keeping your word, showing up every day, going to the gym, engaging in the right habits, making the right choices. And I really like that. And it's beautiful.
There's a lot there. What I love about that is that it just talks about the fact that there is light and dark. There is good and evil. And I think it's a realistic way of looking at the world to acknowledge that there is good and evil. There is light and dark. And especially when it comes to some of the noise, some of the chatter out on the internet. Some of your listeners might like Andrew Tate, or they might listen to Andy Frisella, for example, or
Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone's a little bit different. I'm referencing people that talk about these forces in the world that are kind of out to get us, keep us from the matrix, like keep us from doing, having what we're called to be, do, and have, or what we're capable of being, doing, and having. But to me, it's real simple. There's an adversary. If I believe in a savior, I have to believe in the adversary. There's light and dark. So if you're not a believer, if you're not religious, that's fine. But try to accept that there's light and dark in everything. So some of these things that are everywhere, readily available to distract, to confuse, to destroy, those things are readily available, and they will keep you from your purpose. And to me, that is the adversary. That is the adversary that I get to overcome every single day. And the cool thing for me is that, sometimes we want to blame the people in our lives or the station we are in our lives, the circumstances, but sometimes it's just the way the world is, because there is a darkness in the world. And that's not a pessimistic way of looking at the world. In fact, I find a lot of grace. I can give people grace when I look at the world this way, that even if this person is giving me grief, I can say that's not them. That's the devil in them. And that's not about them. That's just about the fact that there is an adversary. And I can have grace for them, but I can also acknowledge that I'm being confused, distracted. And that's about all the devil really can do. He can only confuse. He can't kill us. He can confuse us. He can distract us. He can tempt us.
He makes you drift away.
From really ultimately our purpose.
Yeah.
And so it's not about people all the time. Certainly, some people will do it, no question about it. But there's a darkness in the world that is tempting. And if we can just have the discipline, we can first, through awareness, acceptance that is a fact. We don't have to dwell on it, because there is a savior. There is a light in the world. We can focus more on that. But that other piece exists, man. And for me, it's a part of the foundation of my life, which is my faith. So it's real easy. So I love Andrew Tate and all those guys, but I just don't get too caught up in this idea of the matrix. Like, I just don't get too caught up in that.
It's also a very good marketing argument, because in marketing, you have to always throw rocks at your enemies, like make a common enemy. And
common enemy. It is a very good marketing ploy. And Andrew Tate is very good at that. No question about it. Yeah, great marketer.
You reminded me of a great book, by the way. You might have read it, because as we're talking about this topic, we talked about drifting and stuff.
Yeah.
Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
Yeah. I haven't read the book. I like Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich, obviously, classic personal development book, one of the first ones that I read. I read it way before I was ready for it. In fact, I might need to pick that thing back up, man.
Those kind of books, when you reread them, it's a completely different experience.
Yeah. Napoleon Hill, classic stuff. I mean, his stuff was relevant way back when he was writing it. But a good one, Outwitting the Devil. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, great book. So do you think that nowadays men have become more soft and more distracted and more weak when it comes to their discipline and just their ability to become high performers in their lives because of all this? And what's your opinion on the state of masculinity nowadays and how men are showing up around the world?
Yeah, look, I think that there's no question that men are softer, certainly in America, but that's not necessarily because men are weaker. It's just more and more men are falling victim to the temptations that are readily available on these phones. And in many ways, men are not held to, I think, the same standard that they were certainly not 2 or 3 decades ago in the U.S. Speaking primarily, I can speak to that more. I think overall, men have become more passive, more casual with their opportunity to go out and really take life by the balls and create what it is that they want.
Yeah.
There's a lot of excuses. There's a lot of victim mentality that I see. And look, I get it. I get why it's easy to fall victim to those things. But I also don't have a lot of sympathy for it because information is so available now that if you really want to change your situation, you can get the information to change it. And I think that a lot of guys have the information they need to change. They're just not doing it.
They need accountability.
There's many things that fall into it. Accountability is certainly one of those things. But look, I don't say that as somebody who sits on some top of the hill. Like, I've had to overcome tremendous fucking challenges in my life. Single mother, didn't have a high school education, raising me and my 3 sisters, welfare, a lot of trauma when I was a young kid that I saw with my mother, with other guys that she dated, relationship issues with my father that caused trauma, lost my father to suicide, having to transition from really the peak of culture, which is professional sports, and then figure out how to transition at a really mature age. I was 27 when I transitioned from sports. All my buddies were already buying their first house. They were maybe on their second corporate gig, making 150,000. I was valeting cars and coaching CrossFit, trying to figure out how to make this speaking thing work, barely paying my bills as a 27, 28-year-old guy, really caught up in the culture, bottle service, chicks, all those things that I could get that I was trying to fulfill myself with, but this just left me empty at the end of the day. I've overcome depression, all depressive state. I wouldn't say I was depressed. I don't know if I really believe in that fully, clinically maybe, but
yeah, that's an
I
argument.
try not to throw that word around.
Yeah.
I mean, I've went through a lot of shit in my life. And so that's why I say that I don't have a lot of sympathy for it, because I've had to claw my way out of a lot of shit. And I just see how capable people are. The work I get to do every day, man, like, I see guys pull themselves out of very, very dark places when they're equipped with the right tools. Tools, yes, accountability, but also self-awareness, learning about yourself. A lot of people don't understand how to do that. And if you're not self-aware, if you don't have that clarity about who you are, it's very hard to build a game plan and an action plan that's going to work for you. It's like a lot of people are trying to act their way into healthy thinking they're trying to think their way into healthy acting instead of acting their way into healthy thinking. So I know it's a tongue twister, but if you read a personal development book and you have zero fucking self-awareness, that personal development book's probably not going to help you too much. A lot of people are reading and consuming content, but they're not getting anything out of it. Why? To me, they don't have an awareness of who they actually are. Whether they don't know how to find it, they're denying it. Two things, that could be happening. They don't know how, or they're just denying who they really are, the truth. That's why the information that's available doesn't help people. Again, there's no excuse. That's why there's coaches in the world. That's not a shameless plug for me as a coach. There's a lot of people that'll help you for free. So yeah, that's, I think this applies to women as well, but certainly applies to men. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally match what you say about self-awareness, especially because I think a lot of guys definitely, and I coach men on dating, you know that.
That's right.
And a lot of guys, they want to have the quick fix, the quick pickup line, the quick way of flirting with a girl, like, 5 Tinder hacks or 5 sentences you could say to get any girl, blah, blah, blah. They're attracted to that type of content, but truthfully, it's not going to change them. Like, they're never going to get girls like that long term. They need to first start with self-awareness. I like the quote by Aristotle, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Mm-hmm. Because unless you know yourself, you know who you are, you know what you want to become, what kind of life you want to live, then you're never going to live an authentic life. You're always going to try to have this facade with people, and you're never going to truly have that strong frame that really is going to make you attractive to people long term. So yeah, I really relate to that. And from that place, then you can start putting the right practices in place. And then with accountability, you can make sure you do that. consistently to get those outcomes. But yeah, I really relate to that. And I think if men were more into faith like you are, and were more disciplined with their fitness, with their minds, because I truly believe like you, like a strong mind in a strong body, or a strong body in a strong mind. I don't know how they say it.
Yeah, they go together. I mean, the guy, whoever's listening, watching, men or women, it's like, okay, well, that sounds like a long road. And it's like, okay, but it really isn't. And you mentioned faith or fitness. Fitness is a great way of acting your way into healthy thinking. So the shortest path that I've been able to find for my clients to get an outcome is they're paying me a lot of money. They want to get a quick hit, a quick win. And much of the work that I'm doing is hard to quantify. It does take time. So the fitness piece became a pillar of the coaching, because what we do is we get guys to wake up earlier than they need to, earlier than they ever have.
How early? 6?
I'm a 3:58 a.m. guy. Many of my guys are waking up at 4
wake
a.m.,
up at 3:50?
every day. 3:58, 4:30, 4. But why? Okay, so when you force yourself to inflict that adversity in your life, and nobody's watching, nobody's forcing you to do it, and you do it anyway, it restores a lot of what you've lost in the self-esteem book. You start to prove to yourself like, okay, I can do hard things. So that's an example of acting your way into healthy thinking. You can do that. Could take 2 weeks. And I'm talking about such a powerful, impactful decision that you could have like a spiritual experience in that. When I started doing this, I was already married. I'd already been a successful coach. I was full-time. I was supporting my family as a coach. I'd put on 20 pounds leading up to having my first daughter. We're in Dubai. We're staying at the Five Palm, 5-star hotel, beautiful. We're in Dubai for 2 weeks. We extended because COVID hit, everything locked down here locally where we live in Tallinn. Cool. I can afford it at this point. We stay for an additional 2 weeks in the Five Palm. I'm on the balcony. My daughter and my wife are feet away, and I'm looking over the cityscape, and I'm fucking miserable. Why? Because earlier that day, I was sitting by the pool, and I was embarrassed to take my shirt off. I'd gained 20 pounds. I was stressed out of my mind. And I found myself in a place where I was fully capable, but I had lost something. I had lost the discipline, the commitment, the consistency. I'd gotten casual. I was enjoying some of my success. I was trying to enjoy being a father, but I started getting casual with those responsibilities that I asked for. So what did I learn there? Well, I decided after that I was going to get in the best shape of my life. I started waking up earlier than I ever woke up before. I told myself previously that I'm an entrepreneur. I can wake up when I want. I can go to bed when I want. This caused a bunch of conflict with my wife, but that didn't cause me to change it. I told my wife, hey, this is what you get. This is who I am. That's how convinced I was that I'm not a morning person. So it took me gaining 20 pounds, having that moment on that balcony to challenge myself, a new way of thinking, a new belief as a grown man, established man. I was having a spiritual experience those first 2 weeks going to the gym when we got back to Estonia, because I had lost that belief in myself that I could do these things that I was telling myself I couldn't do. So that's when I started implementing it with my clients. I said, we're backing your wake-up time down an hour to an hour and a half. Every single one of them that did it, they started experiencing similar results. So if you're listening, this is something you can do. Back your wake-up time down. If you have to just convince yourself to get one toe out of that bed, do it.
Yeah.
Do it for 2 weeks. I promise you will start to restore something that's been broken inside that revolves around self-esteem, self-belief, self-confidence. And of course, now it becomes, what do you actually do once you wake up? And we have a whole playbook for our clients, a 7-step process that ends by going to the gym and, working out, challenging your body in that way. But and all of that's great. The journaling, connecting to source, gratitude message, all the things we do. But the most powerful thing is that wake-up time. It's that wake-up time. Yeah.
Yeah. I can absolutely relate to that. I also struggled with that a lot. I consider myself more of a nighttime guy because I also DJ and I date a lot of girls and I go out I host boot camps till 6 a.m. sometimes in the morning and stuff like that. So I'm more of a nighttime schedule. But man, sometimes I feel bad when I wake up at 1 p.m. and it's a weekday and I still haven't started work. And then I go to the gym and then by the time I finish the gym, it's already 5 or 6. and I haven't even started working.
Yeah.
I have those days, man. It's bad. And now actually I'm waking up earlier because I also have a coach called Davide. He's in Davide. Shout out to you if you're listening to us.
Shout out to Davide.
And I actually have a call with him next week. But like we discussed about this, and now I've forced myself the past few days to really wake up at 9 a.m. instead of, and 9 a.m. is already late. You do like 3:50, but for me it's early compared to like 11. Because before I used to sleep at 3, 4 and wake up at 11. But I would be productive throughout the day, but I would feel bad because I would.
Yeah, man. Look, I hear everything there.
Yeah.
Like, and I've made similar, let's call them justification or rationalizations, right? Rational lies. That's what rationalizations are. Because the truth is, what I hear there and what I've been there. I'm not picking at you at all, but I think it's good for people to hear. Like, the real rationalization is making that decision. How much time, energy, effort am I putting into that moment I realize, shit, I woke up at 1 p.m. again. I know I don't like this. I know I don't want to. And then you get into, let's call it karmic debt. What is karmic debt? It's behaving in a way that's not in alignment with what you know.
True.
A lot of people speculate about a lot of things. I do my best to operate based on what I know. So what do I know? I know things based on my experience. When I experience something, I know, was it for me or not for me? When I decide things are for me, I do my best to commit to the things that are for me. Why? Because when I don't, I feel it. I feel it. I can't fool myself. That's what karmic debt is. You know, if I'm spending time tomorrow thinking about what I did today, that time that I spend tomorrow thinking about at that point yesterday, that's what karmic debt is. If I spend 2 hours tomorrow, I'm in 2 hours of karmic debt thinking about today. So a lot of people spend more time in karmic debt. They can't be present. They can't build for the future. That's what karmic debt is. So self-awareness comes at a cost, man. That's why a lot of people don't want to admit the truth about themselves. Why? Because once you know, you have that self-awareness, then you have to get to work on it.
Yeah.
You have to make decisions based on that. You know, and most people just don't, that's not how they live, bro. That's why most people live a very mediocre life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Once you're aware of the things you're doing that you know aren't right, you gotta fix them as soon as possible. And having a coach, having someone who can help you with that is gonna 10x your results. If I didn't have Davide giving my word to him that I'm gonna wake up at that time and really like sticking to that, I probably would have kept that sleep schedule because it was convenient. It was the habit,
Yeah.
I told him this is a quote by Warren Buffett. The chains of habits are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken sometimes. Like sometimes because you've done that thing so much and it accumulates over time, it's so hard to break out of it at some point because you have such a high momentum doing that thing for a long, long time.
It's so good what you just said. The way that I think of that is very much a faith thing. And I just saw a video of RFK, his brother. What the hell's his name?
The guy who's into health.
The
stuff.
Kennedy. Yeah. I can't think of his. Yeah, Robert. Robert Kennedy, but he's not Junior. I can't recall his name right now. It escapes me.
Whatever. Yeah, he has a weird voice though.
Yeah. You said though, like it bothers you. Does it bother you? His voice?
No. But I didn't notice.
It's hard to listen to.
At first, I didn't know he had that voice like that.
But it is a bit of a distraction. I'll be honest. But no, that's funny. You said he has like his points aren't valid because he's got that weird voice. But he was saying this about faith, and he said that when he was young, he was into alcohol and drinking, and he knew who God was and he knew what faith was, and when he was young and reckless, he would kind of not need God. And then his recklessness would bring him to his knees. And that's when he would go to God. And it was God that helped him overcome alcohol. And once he gave up alcohol, he fell into a lot of success very quickly. But he talked about how he struggled once he got that success. He kind of told God once again, I got it from here. And he was sharing that as an example of, the real test is committing to these disciplines when times are good. And that's what that quote that you shared from Buffett makes me think of. It's that our habits are something that we need to be working on at all times. Why? Because I use another metaphor of a boat with my clients. If you and I are on a boat and the seas are calm, we're not thinking about why the life vests are. And if you imagine the life vests as is your habit, as your routine, you know where you're working at it when the seas are calm, because once that seas get rough and you get knocked overboard, guess what you're going to want? You're going to want that life vest. But if you haven't been working at it when seas are calm, if you aren't working at it daily, then when the seas get rocky, your habits are going to be hard to find. So that's what I teach my clients. It's no. We fall in love with the boring, mundane. We stack wins daily, no matter how good things are, because when rough times come, we don't have to think about the routine. We do the things today that are preparing us for the inevitable future adversity. And that's a part of the early wake-up time. We're inflicting the adversity intentionally because we're preparing ourselves for life, real life, especially as men. Adversity is going to come.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's completely out of our control, but sometimes it is because we fall off. And, I talk about other people, most people living an average life. Don't get me wrong. I fall into that still to this day. That's why I have to keep accountability. I stay getting coached. I'm not speaking here as if I don't fall into those same pitfalls. Like, I teach what I use because I need it.
Yeah. we all need it. I mean, we all need those tools.
Yeah. I need what I teach.
Yeah. Now, I like what you said about, doing, because some people attain a certain level of success and that breeds contentment for them. Like they become content. Yeah. And then because of that, they stop doing the things that have led to their success initially. See what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like when people succeed, they tend to party. When people fail, they tend to ponder and they tend to...
Oh, I like that. Yeah, no, that's good. That's a nice, they tend to party, then they tend to ponder.
Yeah, that's not from me. That's from Tony Robbins. Yeah. But I took it. But that's a real one, man. And I like this analogy of like the more you sweat in training, the less you'll bleed in war, kind of thing. Where like the more you do the work before those eventual bad events happen or bad things happen, because in life there's always going to be bad things happening. But the more you can do that initial work, even when you have good times, the less you're gonna get hurt in bad times,
Yeah. And what's the outcome? What's the real outcome? To me, it's getting to enjoy life, because life can very, very much feel very high sometimes and very low sometimes. And, I've subscribed for a really long time that part of just being a man is suffering. And I shared this with a client the other day, just randomly. I think I'm kind of over that belief. I think that moving forward, I'm 43, just turned 43, that I'm choosing to not really let anything penetrate this armor I've worked really hard to create for myself. Armor doesn't mean I don't let anything in, anything out. It's just I've worked really hard at learning how to navigate the reality of the world, the light and dark of the world. And I'm going to choose moving forward to not allow so many things to disrupt my peace, including some of the wars and battles that I choose to step into every single day. Like building a business doesn't have to feel like a war or a battle. Like at times I've kind of accepted that as a reality, but I don't know that I'm choosing to do that moving forward. I think that when we motivate ourselves that way, it's like jet fuel, right? It burns hot, but it burns out fast. So if you're the type of person that's maybe said to yourself, I'm going to prove them wrong, or I'm going to do it because of this, that's a great fuel to get you to a certain point, but it's going to burn out quick. So for me, man, it's like these disciplines, these fall in love with the boring, mundane stuff is like, that's what most of your life is going to be lived in, like the big hits, they come and they're great, but they're short-lived. So it's like, okay, there's an incentive to fall in love with the day-to-day. But then also the low times, you've had those come. I've had those. Everybody listening has had those. Those come and go too, though. This too shall pass is the popular saying. So to me, it's like the day-to-day boring, mundane stuff gets to be whatever I want it to be. And I'm choosing more peace, happiness, joy, all those things, and less of the what's the word I used earlier? I think it really encompasses it. I think I said, what the heck was it?
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah. No, go on to the next one. I'll think of the word. Yeah, go on to the next question.
Yeah, but you said something that was quite interesting. You said sometimes, like the jet fuel analogy, where sometimes you try to do things and grind yourself to death just to get to an outcome more quickly, but in the process you kind of lose yourself, or you burn yourself out as well quicker, because you just want to skip steps, kind of thing, that kind of thing. I don't know. It reminded me of the quote, like the candle that burns twice as bright burns half as long.
You're nailing some quotes today.
Yeah.
The word that I was using was now I forgot the word again because of your candle quote.
Yeah, it's a great Chinese quote that I read. You see all those celebrities, for example, they shine twice as bright. They want to live that fast life, going from jet to jet, drinking, boozing, weed stuff, girls. Everything is fast. Everything is fast paced, and that's cool. I like it. But then they die quicker. Something happens, trouble, overdose, this, that. So they shine twice as bright, maybe short term, but then they burn half as long. They don't stand the test of time.
Yeah, there's many things that can contribute to that. I mean, tomorrow's definitely never promised. I just got this great product. It's called the Life Dots. Have you seen this?
I loved it, man. The weeks.
What it does is it maps out the weeks that you've already lived, and you can extrapolate based on averages how many weeks you have to go. And so every Sunday, I've had it now for 2 Sundays. Every Sunday I just fill in one of the little boxes.
Isn't that depressing for some people? For some people, it's depressing.
Not for me, man. I think it is a little morbid for some people, but not for me. I put it right in the mirror, behind the mirror in my bathroom. So when I'm in the mirror, I can see it behind me.
Yeah.
So it's just a reminder, man. Like,
memento mori.
Every day. Yeah. So I'm all about living life to the fullest and getting the most out of every day. I'm all about that. And living the fast life, whatever that might mean to you. To me, man, it's fun in spurts. It's not most people's reality, it's not my reality. I certainly like living life intentionally. I would say even sometimes aggressively. I like to make my own luck. I believe in all those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I have the energy to continue to do. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it overall. I don't think it's going to kill you, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, I see you're a very balanced guy in a way, because you have all these areas that you're managing, right? Your business, the relationship with your kids. Now, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but also the divorce kind of you're going through. We can talk about this. I think it would be interesting for the audience.
Yeah.
You're juggling so many things, but at the same time, you manage to be very balanced. You have your routines on check. You have your fitness on check and all of that. So how do you balance all that grind with also making time for your kids, making time for yourself, making time for all of that? Because a lot of guys, they feel like they're overwhelmed. They have so many things on their plate and they can't really focus on the things that truly matter. They feel like life is a constant hamster wheel.
Yeah, the word was suffering. There's another great quote that the massive men lead lives of quiet desperation.
Henry David Thoreau.
Yeah, but that's about suffering, unnecessary suffering. And so, yeah, most people are overwhelmed. You asked about balance. I don't necessarily believe in balance. What I believe in is I can't overflow into these other areas of my life if I'm not putting myself first. Now, I'm not putting myself above God. It's that part of me putting myself first is making time for God, because that fulfills me. That fills me. So I like to think of it like this cup.
Pouring your own cup first.
Yeah. And so most guys are really bad at dedicating time for themselves, especially when they get married, especially when they have kids. They let go of their purpose outside of those roles. So it's no different than the mistake I made as an athlete. I over-identified myself as an athlete. Well, it's really easy to over-identify yourself as a husband, as a father as well. I made that mistake when I first got married. It's very important to me to be a good husband. It was very important to me to be a good father. But I went so far into that it got out of balance. It got out of whack. I stopped pursuing my deeper purpose, my deeper calling. Those roles are a part of that, but they're not all of it. And I hear guys all the time, and I've said it before, I still even say it, and I catch myself when I say, man, that's what it's all about. When I see a guy with his kids, or I see a picture with me and my daughters, and my thought is that's what it's all about. But that's the mistake. That's if you fall into that can get you into trouble as a man. It can cause problems. I've seen it time and time again play out in marriages where men get over invested in being the husband, being the father, and they lose sight of these things that really fulfill them, that allow them to overflow into their spouse, into their children. So that's why we spend so much time in the morning selfishly filling ourselves with, first and foremost, understanding of what's going on inside of us and awareness, right?
Yeah.
Releasing some of that tension, that emotion by addressing it, sitting in it, acknowledging it. Then we get into connecting to source, something bigger than yourself. Expand your perspective, man. It's not all about you. Learn, receive some messages, something to help you understand what's going on inside of you and externally to you. Get into ideation, create. You know, in Genesis, the first few chapters or first few words, paragraphs in Genesis is God the creator. God created all. God created the universe. He's a creator. And if we are made in the likeness of God, we are creators.
You gotta create.
We spend time in creation every single morning. So we're doing all of these things to fulfill ourselves, and we close out the morning routine. This is what I love about this idea of filling your cup first, is at the end of our morning routine, we send a gratitude message to somebody, anybody, because at the end of that routine, that represents what we're doing as we go out and enter the day. We're filling ourselves. We're building the man we admire in every way so that we can gift that man to the world. First in our home, to our wife, our children, and then showing up in that place of overflow to other people, whatever that's clients, social media you're following, whatever. But it's very hard to do that. I would say even impossible if you're not filling your own cup first. So that's where I believe most guys are out of balance. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really powerful there. You know, the idea of not attaching your identity to something external, even your kids or even your business or whatever, that's not you, you know? I mean, they're part of you. Yes, your kids, you can say it's your own flesh and blood and whatever, but even, you know, because if you attach yourself too much to that external thing, then you could lose yourself in the process sometimes, or you could lose part of your identity. So really powerful what you said. And also stepping into the identity that your life is kind of an offering to the world. Like, what value can I bring to the world? You don't live selfishly for yourself and your own selfish desires, but what value could you add for others?
Yeah.
And from that standpoint, you become a source of creation for others.
Yeah.
And your life has that purpose, that meaning to contribute instead
Great
of taking.
word. Yeah, that's the word, contribution. So if you mentioned Tony Robbins, personal development, it all kind of boils down to teaching you how to fulfill, let's call it 4 basic human needs: love, connection, certainty, variety, certainty, right? But also variety and adventure. Because if you have too much certainty, you get a little bored. So you need some adventure and some variety, but then also status or significance, a job title, or something that really motivates you, something to pursue in terms of an accomplishment. It could be a degree, an advanced degree. It could be buying a home. These things are very motivational to people. And after we get above like certain basic needs, like just providing safety for ourselves, these are the things that motivate people's actions every day. Once you get to achieving those things, we all want something more. What is that more? Growth and contribution. Tony Robbins would say that those are the needs of the spirit. Those are the deeper needs. Most people are so busy trying to achieve the first 4, though, that they never tap into that deeper level of contribution and of growth, they tap out. So if you're too motivated by significance and status, like I was growing up, and even into my 30s, driving a certain type of car, vacationing a certain way, wearing a certain watch, right? External significance or status, at some point it's not going to fulfill you. Why? Because that's a very earthly, worldly thing to do. And if you believe you have a spirit, that spirit has needs, and those needs are deeper than those human needs that we have.
Yeah.
So contribution is such a great way of thinking of it. That's why I love social media. If you use social media the right way, no matter where you are right now in your life, you could experience real contribution. It's not about likes, followers. It's about sharing a message, sharing a learning, sharing a tip. I have almost all my clients, some of them have no desire to have a personal brand. I have all of them get on social media and share their morning routine, document the morning routine, because that's contributing something. It's showing it. Yeah, document it. Well, you already contribute massively. You're doing it here.
I do, yeah.
Like
but my morning routine, when I see you doing it, like I want to do it more, because every morning I see yours, like, coffee in the morning.
Yeah, you know the song.
With the song,
Miguel.
And then the coffee machine, and then the you with the journal, and then how do we call it? The pull-ups? No.
Burpees.
Burpees. And
Yeah. You
that
see
whole
it.
routine, man, is great. And I see how people can be converted to clients with that too, because then they see your discipline every day. You become familiar, mere exposure effect. And over time, they associate you with discipline, and they want to be like you.
Well, that's exactly what it is. And it's accountability as well. That's why I started doing it. It's the accountability, the self-accountability, and also it's about contribution. And the funny thing about that song by Miguel, Coffee in the Morning, it's called Coffee. So if you're looking, Miguel, Coffee, great song, but it's actually about sex. So coffee is really sex in the morning, but it's called Coffee in the Morning. So a few people that know what that song actually means will send me messages, like, bro, what is this sexual innuendo every morning on your page? But a great song. Yeah. But that's the thing, man. Back when I decided to start waking up at 3:58, it was so hard. Like I literally had to just be like, I'm just going to put one foot on the ground. That's how difficult it was for me. And so document it was good accountability.
Yeah. Do you track your sleep, by the way? Do you have like a Whoop band or some ring? Or?
I've used Whoop. I've never gotten into Aura, but I used Whoop for a while. I love Whoop. I think they're great. As far as price point, quality of
it's a subscription.
App. Yeah, it's a subscription, but I think they're one of the best right now.
Yeah, everybody has some. I saw Tony Robbins the other day on his seminar. He was wearing one.
Yeah, they're really jumping off right now. But here's the thing for me. I get my data otherwise. I like data. I like working by the metrics. Like that's all important. But what I didn't like about Whoop is if I woke up and my sleep score was 78%, I started like, dang, I'm going to have That's
exactly what gets me. Yeah. I check my Oura ring and then I see 70 and then I'm like, okay, another hour of sleep.
Yeah, man. So it became a capacity thing for me. Yeah. And maybe for those of you that are listening, what are we talking about really when it comes to capacity? It's just too much input, is too much input. And sometimes people need to actually be receiving less input, like really filtering who you're following on social media, not listening to the fourth and fifth podcast. A lot of people are overwhelmed by too much information. And for me, it became a capacity thing. Like I do blood work routinely. I'm super dialed in with my nutrition and fitness. I have a consistent sleep and wake time. The data for me wasn't as relevant. But for some people, that might be the only data they get. And I certainly encourage getting data and working by the numbers.
I mean, from my personal experience, sometimes you just got to fuck the sleep score. Even if the sleep score is not good, you said you were going to wake up at whatever the time, 9, 6 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever. Fuck the sleep score. Even if you slept 1 hour, you had a bad sleep score, just do it anyway. You're going to have a suboptimal day in terms of performance, probably if you didn't sleep well. But still, you kept your word, and then over time you'll rearrange your routine accordingly. But yeah,
I like what you said there, because that's kind of like gamifying it, and I believe in that. Like when you get data and you can learn how to emotionally detach from what you see. So yeah, you have a great sleep score. Well, that's an emotion that's derived from that. Maybe you're excited or you're enthusiastic. It's like, okay, great. That may change your behavior. But what about when you get the 78% sleep
38
score,
is not that bad.
or let's say 30 or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you have a low emotion. Whatever happens there, if you use it as a test to see if I can consistently behave despite how I feel, then I think it's a good way of gamifying that tool.
Yeah.
Like the biggest thing for guys, I think, and this has certainly been my journey, especially as I've gotten married and I have kids, young kids. I have a 4-year-old and a 6-month-old.
2 daughters, right?
2 daughters. Is learning how to not react emotionally. And I've been working on that for a long time, but the more responsibility you get, the more layers to that you have to develop. So for men, it's not about completely detaching emotionally. It's just learning how to not react to the emotions. And so data helps with that. Like more responsibility helps with that.
Yeah.
That's how we gamify it, you know? Like, I like games. I don't know about you. I think most guys do.
Same.
You know?
It gamifies it, but you can get into that pitfall where if your sleep score is not that great, then you might tend to want to sleep a bit more just to justify the fact that, you need to have good sleep to be performing well throughout your day.
And it's the same thing. It's like you had an argument with your wife, so you decide to sleep in and not go to the gym, right? It's like these things that happen that impact your behavior. These are all opportunities to not react to the emotion, to keep your commitment despite the input. So the whoop is another form of input, but so is arguing with your wife. Bank account's low, kids aren't listening, whatever. Some people literally can wake up in the morning and just be like, I don't feel like it. Whatever it is, these are all tests. These are all inputs that are spiking your emotions, good or bad. But we want to learn and we teach how to not react to those spikes, good or bad. It's just to stay even keel. Certainly celebrate wins, feel the low emotion, but don't let it change your behavior, man. And that's what we're up to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, so you have 2 daughters. Would you like to have a son one day? Do you think you'd have other kids in the future, or you're done? No more kids?
I think I'll definitely have more kids. The plan,
Really?
the plan was to have more kids always with my wife. I'm still married, still legally married. We're going through a separation. It's difficult. It's a challenging thing. But the plan was always to have more kids. Mm-hmm. And it's even more challenging to imagine having more children, maybe with a different spouse and having a split up. Like it's something that I'm working through still. But I want to have more children. And certainly if I meet somebody, they're the right person, and they say, hey, I want to have kids. I haven't had any of my own. I would certainly understand that. And I'm open-minded to it.
Nice.
As well, yeah.
I want to ask you this because myself personally, and this is going to be a selfish question because I'm asking for myself, but the audience will relate, part of my audience. Right now I'm 27. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get to my 30s soon. Mm-hmm. If I survive, if I live or whatever, we never know. As you said, tomorrow is never promised. But if I do live and I'm 30 or whatever, I'd like to get married. Just even for the sake of religion, I think it's beautiful. But even it really makes you more disciplined rather than chasing all these girls. You have one girl you focus on. That can be a huge ROI. But I've read so many books I've seen so many studies, read so many things. I've seen so many guys get wrecked. And for me, at this point, marriage is almost a trap in my mind. Like if I get married, it's kind of a trap and I'm going to be entangled in this thing. And nowadays, even the law system is not really in the favor of men these days, especially in the West. And like I have all these reflections about it. And what do you think about marriage? Do you think it's a bit of a trap these days? Do you think men should not get married? Or do you think it's really a good thing? What's your deal with that? What would you recommend based on your experience?
I'll get married again.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for that to actually be a restoration of my current marriage, but a lot of that's out of my control. I believe in marriage, and that's why I got married. And way back when I went on the path and the journey of my faith, that was really motivated by wanting to have a family, a traditional family, a husband and wife, kids, same household for life. And I got to work building the man that could create that. What did that lead to? I mean, celibacy for 3 years before I met my wife, a far cry from where I was at before I made that decision, going out, bottle service, sleeping with girls, first night, all that whole life. So I was intentional before I met my wife. I thought that prepped me for being good in a marriage, but here I am going through a divorce. So divorce can happen, even if you think it will never happen. I never thought I would be the guy talking to you about that. And yet I would be lying to myself if I started to get mad or angry at the institution of marriage, because I still believe in that. I could have bitterness about how things worked out for me. That would be very easy for me to do. But the truth is, marriage didn't fail. Marriage doesn't fail. People that are married typically do not work well within that structure. Now, we could get into a different conversation and talk legality and all of that. If I have to do it again, I won't do it legally. I'll do it before God, just to avoid some of the legal stuff for me as an American citizen. Yeah. I mean, I'm married to an Estonian. I'm American. Like, some of that stuff is, you can be intentional with that, prenups. You can do all that. I would say this. Look, if you are the sort of person that wants to be a one-woman man, there's absolutely nothing more fulfilling than choosing one and having her choose you back.
Yeah.
That is a very beautiful season of life that I got to experience. A wedding. It's a beautiful thing, man. Our wedding was beautiful.
I think I saw your wedding pictures.
It was, I mean, our wedding video, Lisa did a dance. She surprised me with this dance. It's got over 2 million views on YouTube now.
Really?
Our wedding was beautiful in every way, for her, for me, everything about it. I wanted to have, big ice cubes and whiskey glasses for old fashions for all my buddies. I wanted to smoke cigars. I wanted to wear my tux. We did it over here in Europe. It was beautiful. No regrets. But, life happens, man. And that's been one of the most difficult things for me, I think, as a coach and as a man. I think as a man, we feel like we cannot show up powerfully when things feel unresolved, when we're in transition, when we're in a valley. And that's been a really challenging thing for me as a coach and somebody who's paid to really give advice, is to still show up powerfully, even though I'm going through this unexpected season where so many things are unresolved. And I think there's a new way of defining strength that I'm arriving at right now through this, which is, I don't have to have everything figured out. I don't always have to hard charge through these seasons. I can slow down, be willing to receive the message, not be in a hurry to make decisions, but still show up powerfully. So it's less about what is unresolved in your life, what season you're in, but it's more about how you move through it. And that's really one of the learnings that I'm in right now, when there's a lot of uncertainty in this big area of my life. And yeah, man, like, I'll do it again. I'll go down that road again. I absolutely will. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely I would like to get married, but sometimes I don't know, doesn't it get old? Like, even sex, having sex with the same girl over and over, like for 10 years, 20 years, like stuff like that,
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck yeah. It gets old. Yeah. It gets old. It gets boring. It gets mundane. So what are you going to do about it?
It's a commitment. Yeah.
But you experience that maybe with a girl that you weren't married to,
True,
and maybe it's like you move around, you travel around, and you hook up with a girl in, I don't know, Singapore, and then you're like, oh, she reminds me of this chick that I
It's funny you said
hooked up
Singapore.
with
I was with the chick
in the UK. If what you're after is only variety, then you're probably going to get bored when you have the same thing. Again, it's about what do you really want? If you do want depth, there's always opportunities to get deeper in intimacy, deeper in connection. Like, when I did the celibacy thing for 3 years, I didn't know that this was the benefit of that. But I remember the first time I held hands with a girl, like a year and a half into that because I wouldn't allow myself to go out and date. Like I gave up everything, bro. Like I wanted to commit. So I just said, I have to remove the temptation. So 32, 33 years old, I'm not going out to bars. I'm not doing anything because I was really committed to this thing. I really wanted to meet a good woman and have a great relationship. But when I started going out, my confidence was back that I could discipline myself in that environment. I remember the first time I held hands with a girl, and it was like this deep level of connection and intimacy that I had never really even experienced, like having all kinds of different sex. And I was like, wow, there's this depth here with that. And I wanted that. That's what I wanted. That's what that taught me. So yeah, I reached a point in my marriage where you get bored and you have an opportunity there. Like now kids are involved. Now we're having sex to get pregnant. We're talking about ovulation schedules. All of that stuff comes into play when you get married, man. Yeah. And that doesn't necessarily, you know, get your dick hard. When your wife is like, hey, I'm ovulating, let's go. For me, it didn't, right? So maybe some guys, you know. So look, I think that, you know, if you want something deeper than just variety, you can get there in a marriage. It's just going to take work, man. That's it.
What's your thoughts, man? I'm conflicted myself personally with religion and sex because look, let's be honest. We get horny. I want to fuck at least once a week or whatever. Yeah. Like I once a week at least I get super horny, and I want to fuck. But also I have my connection to God. Islam, you don't have. They say like you don't want to fuck before marriage, whatever.
Yeah, no premarital sex. That's big in Islam, isn't it?
And and I've already done that sin many times. So I'm already sinful about that, but I always ask for forgiveness, but I still fuck girls. So I have this conflict, man. Yeah. And what's your thoughts on sex? Do you actually think sex is a bad thing before marriage? I mean, now you're single, ready to mingle. So when you're going to meet girls, are you going to wait till you have this huge long-term thing to have sex with her? Or could you still have casual sex with some girls you meet? What's your thoughts on that? Because personally, I don't drink much. I go to the gym. I don't take drugs. I don't smoke. But the only thing that gets me is sex. And you could say lust. I don't jerk off to porn. Like, yes, of course, if I don't fuck for 3 weeks or something, I might. But it's very, very, very rare. So what's your point of view about sex, man? I'm just curious.
To me, it's an energy thing.
Yeah.
I report above. That's how I report. So what is above? For some people, maybe it's not God, but for me, it's about God, but it could just be that internal intuition that we all have. And it's really a personal thing. It's about aligning your behavior, your action to that internal voice that's calling you. So I would say to anybody, if you aren't at a place in life where it's important to you to not just be about what you can get in anything, but especially from a woman, if you're at that place where it doesn't bother you if you show up like that, then by all means, it's as long as obviously she's consenting, all that kind of stuff. But it's probably not a problem for you at this point. But for me, it became a problem when I started realizing that I'm taking from these girls, even though I don't necessarily have as much to give. And that became a problem for me here before I understood faith, religion, sin. I didn't see it as a sin. For me, it was the internal disconnect. I didn't understand this. I felt this. I didn't understand I was just taking from these women. I started to have a problem with that. So that's that karmic debt that we talked about earlier. So what I would say to anybody is, look, go into anything looking to give. And if you can't give to it, whether that's commitment, whether that's honesty and truth, transparency, don't take. Don't take more than you're willing to give. I think that's a great way of approaching casual sex. If you want to have casual sex with a woman, just be real about it. Just let her know, look, this is what that is. Yeah. And I think that that's a way of maybe responsibly navigating that when you're a single dude. But for me, it's about that internal alignment. You're going to know when your actions are out of alignment with that internal voice inside your head. For me, that's the authentic voice of God. That's when I'm dialed in, I hear that louder, and that becomes a guide for me. When I'm acting outside of that voice gets quieter. I don't hear it. And when I lose sight of that voice, I make stupid decisions. Yeah, I make dumb decisions. Yeah.
Yeah. I always say, you have your kind of wise brain and then you have the monkey brain. When you have the monkey brain and you're really like into that biological, when you're basically driven by your biological drives, you get to do things that then you regret, man.
Yeah. You're thinking with the wrong head.
Yeah, you're thinking with the monkey brain instead of the wise, diligent brain.
But let me ask this, man, because at a certain point, it's like I love beautiful women, man, and I loved the freedom of being able to hook up with a girl if I wanted to hook up with a girl. But at a certain point, I mean, for you, you're 27. I mean, I'm 43 now. Like, I've been married. I've done that whole thing. Now I'm coming out of marriage and I'm dipping maybe at this point my toe back into dating. I don't really have this strong desire just to go out and kind of like catch up for lost time. I feel like that season of my life thankfully, that season of my life is gone. But for you at 27, when you think about maybe abstaining, not sleeping with girls, what to you is like a reasonable thing? Like, are you thinking, okay, if I can't see myself dating this girl, maybe long term, I'm not going to sleep with her? Or is it pretty much just like, damn, I feel like having sex if I'm real about it? At 27, how do you navigate that? You're a dating coach.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Right now, because now I've already had like a lot of experiences with women now, I get to the point where like you, I feel like, it's not going to be worth my time necessarily if I don't see myself potentially having a long-term outcome with her. I feel more and more like that.
Yeah.
But then sometimes also, man, I mean, I'm at a party, I'm having a great time. If I can hook up with a girl, even if she's not like long-term material, if she's hot and we have a great vibe, that's fine, sometimes. So I have mixed feelings. That's why it's conflicting, Sometimes you have this biological drive to reproduce and make things happen with a woman, even if she's not a great partner long-term, probably. You just want to have fun and have a great time and just do your thing. But it's conflicting. Also, I'm a dating coach, so I like to win when I go out. I like to win. My definition of winning is not necessarily sex. It's just having a great time. But it's fun to have a girl back, at your place after a long night of talking to people and having a lot of fun. It's a great outcome. It makes a lot of memories. But at the same time, I'm conflicted with religion because as I get more and more into Islam and prayer and all of that, I sometimes feel a bit of remorse sometimes around it. Because if I fuck a girl till 5 a.m. and then I wake up and I need to pray, then I feel like I'm incongruent. So, you see what I mean?
Man. No, but that's real. But that to me is like, okay, so yeah, like you're in that season where your awareness is that there is a bit of a disconnect, and it's just new input. It's this now new thing called religion and this new desire to pursue that. And that's a great thing, actually. I think God is competing for your heart, and ultimately, or God's, I don't know the appropriate term, one God with Islam, but is competing for your heart, and I think that's a great thing. And self-awareness says, okay, I just need to have an awareness of that. That's how I would navigate that. And you're more intentional, I think, than even I was at your age. Like, I wasn't thinking the way that you are about sex at all. Like, and I certainly, it wasn't until I would say I was in my early 30s before God really became a part of the picture. So you're on a good path, my dude. But that's tough. I mean, there's a little bit of a conflict. I can see how that'd be a conflict because you're a dating coach. Like,
it's
you kind of do have to
but
pull chicks.
And
right?
Sometimes I have this I don't know if I want to be a dating coach till like my 40s or whatever. I think at some point, if I really want to be super incongruent with Islam and religion, I need to more switch into other paths, because with my business, I need to talk about sex. I want to make guys pull girls. It's part of my job, kind of. So yeah, there's this conflict, but I love it. I love it too. And it's just like when religion gets in the way, then it's an internal conflict. Are you gonna abide by the book? Or are you gonna do like a part-time religion?
Yeah.
Right?
You know what I would do if I was just challenging you or anybody? Something that I really actually enjoy now is being able to just breathe in feminine energy just out of appreciation for how it shows up. Like, when I'm around a feminine woman, I'm so attracted to that energy. Learning how to be in that energy without making it into anything. It doesn't need to be sexual. It doesn't need to lead to anything.
Yeah.
Just breathing it in, meaning holding space for it, not needing anything from it. Just being in that environment, just letting a girl be a beautiful feminine creature in that moment. And that could happen at a bar after I speak at an event and I'm down in the lobby, and it could very easily be taken out of context and head up to the bedroom, which is, 7 floors above where we're at in the hotel lobby. Learning how to stay disciplined, not by completely removing yourself or myself from that feminine energy, but learning how to stay disciplined in its presence. I learned how to do that when I was going through those 3 years. And that's kind of my approach right now, man. Like, I'm not in a big hurry to jump into anything super intimate right now, because I know that I don't have a whole lot to give right now because of what I'm going through. But I do crave being in that feminine energy with a woman. And so that's kind of where I'm at with it. That's how I'm approaching it right now, as I'm kind of re-entering this. It's about me disciplining myself, though. I don't need to take from that. I can be around it, though. I don't have to deprive myself. I can be around it. And that, to me, I like to, like I said, gamify things. Can I handle this? If a girl's beautiful, fine, and she's kicking me that sexual energy, and I still don't see anything going, I'm not ready, can I stay disciplined? Can I just breathe in that feminine energy? I'm curious about that. So I'm putting myself in that environment a bit more now. So that's fun to me. That's fun. But it's a good way of approaching it for me.
Yeah. It's beautiful, man. Have you, this is a tricky question, but sometimes, like, let's say you're bathing in that feminine energy and you're having a great time with a woman and you're appreciating her presence, but you don't end up closing the deal, and that's fine. You're detached from the outcome, as you said, like, you can be detached from that outcome. But let's say that happens a lot of times over the span of a couple weeks, and you don't have sex for many, many weeks, and you feel like an urge to have sex. Do you have that? Do you have an urge sometimes if you don't have sex for many, many weeks?
Yeah,
you feel lustful. So how do you deal with that lust? Because you don't, I guess you don't jerk off to porn, or maybe you do, but like, how do you let that outlet, how do you manage that outlet of, like, those sexual desires when you don't close the deal for many, many weeks or many, many months even? I don't know.
I do probably somehow release that energy. I just don't think of it that way. Like, I don't ever think like, oh, I've got this pent up sexual energy that needs to be released.
Sometimes you're so horny you can't work.
Well, okay, but that's very rare for me to get to that place where I have spikes of emotion all the time, right? But very seldom ever associating it with being deprived sexually. Now, what I will say I have experienced, like, let's say, for example, I was just in the U.S. at a wedding. Cool wedding, Indian wedding, longtime client. It's called a daisy wedding. It's like 5 days worth of ceremonies, Indian, Bollywood style. That's what most people will understand what a daisy wedding is. And I'm staying at the Ritz, nice hotel.
Amazing hotel.
Why is that important? Well, there's beautiful women that go to those hotels. So I'm down in the lobby, whatever. I might be having a drink, maybe not. And I'm in this energy a lot. At the wedding, it's a beautiful moment. There's women. We've all been to weddings. So that energy is everywhere. Sure. I'll feel that sexual tension then. I'll feel that. But it's really a product of the environment that I'm in. So, yeah, man, like, I of course I have those desires, all of those things, but thankfully, thank God, I'm at a place where I don't react too much to my emotions like that. I allow myself to feel them. I process them, but there hasn't been a single morning since I've been separated where I've been sitting down journaling about this sexual tension that needs to be released. Okay. It's very much about expressing my emotions and feeling those emotions, being honest about those emotions, figuring out a way to deal with those. But very seldom is it about sexual tension for me. It just, Okay. I'm a high testosterone guy, highly active. Like, it's not that I don't have the drive or desire. It's just, and thankfully, man, like, I'm thinking about other things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I think when you're filled with purpose and your life truly has a meaning and you have a mission to go after, you're going to be less driven by those biological drives. I mean, you're going to tend to be less affected by those temporary emotions, and you're going to step into your purpose more. I have a question. So what makes a quality woman? What are you looking for in a woman?
Well, for me, the big thing that I learned from my marriage is we have to believe in the same God. We have to share that faith. Why?
So if you're Christian, she needs to be Christian.
Yeah, because I can't be your God, baby. That's what I'm saying. Because I'm going to be imperfect. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to contradict myself. I'm going to look like a hypocrite sometimes. My performance isn't always going to be perfect. And I think that what I learned in my relationship, man, is like, if I'm her God, not saying that I would ever want to be that, but if we're not both believing in something bigger than ourselves, then my performance is going to be too relied on.
It's going to wax and wane, as you said last time.
Well, I'm human, and that created some problems. And I think that a metaphor for this, that I've heard this, it's not mine, but I really believe in it, is, and this helped me through my transition. If you imagine a triangle, right? Like, and you and your spouse are on both sides of that triangle on the bottom, and God or something bigger than you is at the top. As both of you individually move closer to that thing, you're moving closer together as you pursue that thing individually. You move closer together as you pursue that thing at the top.
Beautiful
and
analogy.
I was like, that is beautiful.
Very beautiful. First time I hear this analogy.
Me too. When I heard it, I'll never forget that. And so that is, for me, very important when it comes to a quality woman.
She needs to fear God. If a woman doesn't fear God and she's not connected to that source in a way, she's going to drift at some point most of the time, or it's not going to work out, because, there's too many temptations in this world. And I feel like definitely if a woman isn't connected to that source, it's hard to sustain that marriage, especially for a guy like you who's really religious. I mean, who's into faith, not really religious, but into faith.
For a woman, I think the biggest needs that they have typically are around safety and security. And man, I was sensitive to that in my marriage, but I found that no matter what I did, I couldn't quite fulfill that. And the temptation is to try to fulfill something in this person that you care so much about that can only be filled, from my belief system, by God. And there's this void, I think, that exists within all of us who, again, I believe that void is only fulfilled by God. I believe God is the creator. So according to my beliefs, that void cannot be filled with anything of this world. And so there's a certain amount of yearning, wanting, needing, desire. These are not the safest feelings.
Yeah.
It's like a lack of. If you want safety, if you want security, and you feel a lack of, you're not going to feel safe and secure. So if you're needing, if you're wanting, if you're desiring too much, you don't feel safe and secure. So a man, no matter what he does, oftentimes is never going to be able to, I would say all of the time, is never going to fully fulfill a woman, because there's things about a woman and a man that can only be fulfilled by God. That's, again, according to my belief system. So safety and security is more important to women than it is for men. So again, I'm getting into some reasons why sharing a faith, believing in something bigger than yourself is so important. Because if I want to create safety and security for my wife, why would I not want that for her? Because I can go out and hunt and kill and work and provide. And those are all things that I took very seriously and actually did very fucking well. But there was still a wanting and a yearning and a needing from her. And at times it makes you as a man feel disrespected, devalued, unappreciated, disrespected. These things come up a lot for men.
Is that why
I felt all those things? But I have grace for it. I have grace for it. Why? Because of what I'm explaining.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that why you divorced, actually?
I'm still trying to figure out exactly why we're going through a divorce. I don't have that answer. But I would say for the most part, it's that when somebody shows you who you are, who they are, time and time again, not once, but repeatedly, you have to believe that that's who they are. And then at a certain point, you have to make some decisions about what you're willing to accept and what you're not. And for me, man, I just realized that this marriage isn't for me. And no matter how much I want it, that doesn't mean I need that to be all of the other things that I need to be in my life for my daughters, for myself, and for my spouse. I believe in radical responsibility, extreme ownership. And there's only so much of that I can take because there's two people involved in a relationship.
Yeah.
That's nothing disparaging about my wife. She can be doing those things as well. And there still might be this disconnect in that void. And that's what I'm working on accepting, that, this doesn't have to be about somebody not showing up or being disrespectful or not honoring their vows or their commitment. It could just be that even with the best tools and the strategies that we have, who we are is not a fit. And I get to choose that or not. And for me, man, like, I would feel like I was betraying myself right now if I went back into that environment. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Real quick, because we have a few topics, and I want to talk about business with you and stuff.
Yeah, let's do it.
But just besides, because I asked you, what makes a quality woman? You said, okay, at this point, faith, being aligned with that, being from the same religion or whatever. Besides that, what else? Like maybe 2-3 attributes you're looking for.
Self-awareness, understanding what are your triggers and traumas, and what have you done to work on those things. These are those answers to questions like that, not on the first date, but as you really get into being serious and considering settling down, those are the things that now on the other side of marriage, I realize impact a marriage.
So inner work, self-awareness.
Yeah, self-awareness. Yeah, I didn't ask some of those questions. I didn't know I needed to ask those types of questions.
What questions would you ask?
Exactly those. At some point, what's impacted you the most in your life? What to discern what are your traumas? Does this person understand what they've been through and how that impacts how they see the world, how they behave? You know, the world isn't really truly, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. That's a great saying. So that's the lens. That's a perspective we see the world through. And that is impacted by our experiences. And our experiences are riddled typically with traumas. That doesn't mean everyone has deep, deep trauma, like a suicide of a father like I had, or some of the shit that I went through, but we all have things that have impacted the way we see the world. And so I wish I had asked more of those questions before I got married, to not dismiss someone because they have trauma, but to understand if this person is doing the work, willing to do the work, understands the work that needs to be done, because those are the things that are going to impact the marriage. So I'm looking for a woman that has high degrees of emotional intelligence and emotional awareness, and believes in something bigger than herself. These are things that I'm going to be looking for moving forward. Yeah. And I would say anybody should be looking for these things.
Yeah, you got to screen harder up front. Basically, you got to be screening for those attributes very early on in the relationship to be able to assess whether she's going to be the right partner long term.
That's right, especially if you're willing to do that for yourself. And that's ultimately most important. Because when you do that work, when we do that work, we're going to attract a certain partner. I recognize that many of the things that I accepted about my wife in the beginning were things that I accepted. Many of the questions I didn't ask were because I wasn't asking those questions of myself. What I fell into in my own marriage, and I see a lot of guys fall into, is sometimes we want our wife or our spouse to listen to us when we're not listening to ourselves. So we can't expect someone to follow us if we're not first willing to go there ourselves. So you can't teach what you don't know, and you can't really lead where you won't go yourself. So that's what I would say, man. Like in the beginning, if you want to screen somebody, start with yourself.
True.
Yep.
Actually, I have a controversial take on this because I believe that a relationship is not necessarily made to make you happy all the time. It's meant to make you miserable sometimes so that you can look at your own flaws and then through that overcome your own challenges so that you can grow through that, basically. Like, women are like mirrors and they mirror your weaknesses sometimes, and through a relationship you can work on those weaknesses and get better on the other side. So it's not meant to make you happy all the time. Sometimes it's meant to make you just grow, and they're like just mirrors, mirroring your own flaws and weaknesses, so that you can work on them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And anybody that thinks that's controversial it should just see that as like the expectation. I don't think that's controversial at all. You know, what you're saying. Yeah.
So some people think a relationship is all about, you know, being happy, being always, you know, always positive, always whatever. But it's through those tough moments that you grow the most in a relationship as well.
No doubt.
So, okay. So now let's switch to business. I mean, I want to talk about business real quick with you.
Let's talk about it.
So you've been into business for almost 6 years now. Even more. I mean, you used to coach. You used to be a sales coach as well.
Yep.
You coached great teams. You've worked with Brandon Carter.
Yeah.
King Keto. I've been following this guy for a long time. I love this guy, man. He's great. He's really funny. I watched his videos sometimes. And so, yeah, for the guys like who want to get into business, who don't have a business yet, etc., what would be your recommendation for people to get into business? What are some of the things you learned that helped you in your journey? And what differentiates the guys who are broke from the guys who make 6, 7, 8 figures, etc.? I know it's a lot of questions in a row.
Yeah.
But like, let's talk about business. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Well, foundationally, success in business is just like success in anything else, because it's built off of your character. So everything starts with your character. I've had clients that come to me and they're already hyper successful financially, but something else in their life is falling apart. So they could be skills-wise, systems-wise, capable of creating a 7, 8-figure, in some cases 9-figure business. But without the character, they're always capped. So character is where it all starts. I always say it's not what you do, how you do it, it's who. So it's not the what, the how, or it's really about the who. Who's doing it? Who's moving the levers? There's more people that are capped where they're at because of their character than a skill set in their business. You can figure everything out from a skill standpoint, from a system standpoint, but if your character, consistency, discipline, contribution, some of the things we've talked about are not intact, then you're always going to be capped. So it always starts there. But then it does require skills, you know, like, that was the benefit that I gained going and working as a sales coach. When I just wanted to be an entrepreneur, I needed 5 years to learn the actual skills of the business I wanted to build, the discipline of scheduling and managing my time, the understanding income producing activities rather than just busy work, understanding critical success factors in a work environment that need to be prioritized daily rather than just doing what is fun. Like, social media content is fun, but social media content for me has never really brought in revenue consistently. So I do social media content, which is fun. I love creating, I love videos, but I've had to learn how to ask clients for referrals, because that's what actually drives revenue for my business and getting new clients.
Yeah.
So I have to prioritize those activities, and everybody in whatever business they have has these critical success factors that need to be prioritized, identified, and then prioritized, and so that you can have an actual business to create consistent revenue. So, I forget your original question, but maybe you can remind me what the original question was.
It's my bad. I mean, I asked too many questions in a row. It was a bit confusing, but one of the questions I asked is, what separates the guys who stay broke in business, who never break those 6, 7, 8 figures mark? 6 figures isn't that much anyway, but like even 7-figure mark, etc., or multiple 6 figures. what differentiates the guys who stay stuck at 5K a month, whatever, from the guys who actually make big money, great margins, etc.?
Yeah.
And
I mean, I would double down on the same answer.
yeah,
It's a character thing.
critical success factors.
Well, it's a character thing. Like,
yeah,
because ultimately you can hire a coach and that coach can lay out and help you identify your critical success factors in your income producing activities. That coach can give you a scheduling tool to help you time block. But if you don't have the character to get off the phone with that coach and actually do that work, if you don't have the discipline, the follow through, the self accountability, those are all character things, then you're not going to get to the next level. That was the case for me, by the way. Like, when I read Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins, when I read that newspaper article I referenced earlier in our conversation about Youth Speaker University, I was inspired, but I wanted to skip to the fun stuff. I wanted to speak on stage. I wanted to have the book. And what I learned is that if you want to inspire others, you must inspire yourself first. Like, you cannot inspire others if you don't first inspire yourself. And I wasted years focusing on the external validation to drive me, the speaking engagement, the attention I got, or the dopamine hit from standing on stage. I love that shit. But what I didn't understand was that those years were really about me deepening my discipline, my commitment, my follow through, building the character to prepare me for the inevitable success that I've had. You have things that are for you down the road. It's inevitable based on the ingredients I know about you. So these days now are really just opportunities to prepare for those inevitable opportunities. And the more you prepare today, the more those opportunities will beget more opportunities. That's a character thing. That's a belief. That's a discipline to not expect the outcome, but to prepare for it as if it's inevitable. So this is what I teach my clients. It's like, no. Everything that we do when it comes to business is about you internally.
Yeah, they always say you don't have business problems, you have personal problems reflecting in your business.
100%. And the skills are all figure outable. Like, I've helped my clients leave high 6-figure, 7-figure jobs and go start their own consulting business or whatever. Like, yes, and I teach skills around that, how to sell one-to-one, how to sell one-to-many through selling from stage, which is very different than keynote speaking. I teach people how to craft their story. I teach people about social dynamics. I teach some of these things. What is charisma? How do you walk into a room and own it? How do you make a good first impression? Yeah. How do you ask great questions to get people talking? Control a conversation. How do you negotiate? I can teach all those skills, but ultimately what it comes down to is at-bats, reps. You still have to have the discipline and commitment to get out into the world and put that shit to work. You still have to have the courage to sit down at a table with a group of guys that are out of your tax bracket and hold space, still show up as that version of yourself that you want to reflect out into the world. That's a character thing, right? I can teach you how to engage in conversation, but I gotta get you to the point where you're willing to get into that environment. So it's all about character for me. And that's really what's holding most people back.
True. Yeah. So I completely agree with that in terms of like, your business is a reflection of who you are in some way. And if you're capped, you got to work on yourself first, not the next VSL strategy or webinar or whatever first, like it's inward. So definitely. One thing I want to ask you, so, I mean, you charge $25,000 or 25K or something for your programs, right?
Yeah, that's my one-on-one program.
Yeah. That's a pretty heavy price for most people. Didn't you feel a bit, not worried, but sometimes when you initially set that price of 25,000, sometimes you didn't have like that conflict of like, shit, it might be too much. Maybe some people are not gonna buy. It might be too much, etc. And like, how did you have the audacity to charge such high prices? When did you feel confident about like charging those prices? Because a lot of people they undervalue themselves. Even myself, I charge 3, 5, 6K, and I feel like that's a lot.
Yeah.
So 25K, I'm like, shit, this guy, he owns it. Like 25K.
Yeah.
So yeah, could you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, of course. I was nervous the first time I offered somebody to work with me for 25K. No different than I was nervous when I got assigned my first coaching client at Southwestern, and I saw the guy's previous year income was $450,000. He was a branch manager for a mortgage office, and the previous year I maybe made $32,000, piecing together money from valeting cars, selling women's shoes at a department store like Stockman. It's called Nordstrom in the U.S. People here might be more familiar with Stockman or something like that. And I was coaching CrossFit, and I'd made like $32,000, and I'm supposed to coach this guy. And what I thought at the time I was giving in terms of value was my time, was certainly my knowledge, my presence, whatever. And I thought, there's no way that I have time, knowledge. There's nothing I can offer this guy that's going to be worth more than he's already worth, $450,000. And it was a very short-sighted way of looking at really what we do as coaches and really what an investment is that we get to make. When I really shifted and understood the value I bring, it's that I'm not charging for time. I'm charging because I put in years of work understanding how to fix very specific problems. I can quantify things that don't seem quantifiable, like internal alignment, self-awareness. I can quantify that into dollars and cents at this point. So I know that a $25,000 investment is a drop in the bucket for my clients, because not only where most of them are already financially, but what they're capable of creating financially. And that's the only piece we're talking. There's other things that are much more important than the money they're going to make on that. But I can look at them and say, if you don't 4 or 5x that in the first 6 months of us working together, from increased productivity, increased clarity and energy, removing some of the distractions that are bogging you down, I can quantify that. So it's very easy for me to charge that now. And frankly, I've never let money get in the way of working with the client. I mean, I probably shouldn't say this, but I still sign some guys up who can't quite pay me my full fee. And I always will if they show that they're willing to go out and get the results. I expect that my clients pay my full fee because I know what I'm worth. I know what it can create in their life. But if they can, I don't let money get in the way. But ultimately, as a coach, as a consultant, anybody who's charging for your services, at a certain point, you're not necessarily just charging for the time that they're in front of you. Like, there's a great saying, it's like a machine operator at a factory.
I was about to pull out that
up.
story, man.
Well, do you want to tell it, or you want me to tell it?
That remind me of that.
Yeah. Well, it's like,
I think it's the story of, like, there was like a big shipping company, it might be FedEx or whatever. They had a big problem. They were shipping, all over the world, a lot of shipments, etc. And then all of a sudden, they had a problem where the whole shipping system just stopped working.
Yeah.
And they were worried, like they were wasting a lot of money on it, etc. And they called a technician to come fix it. Mm-hmm. And so then the technician shows up, and he checks like the whole machine, etc. And in a minute, he just fixes one cable by switching on something. And then when the manager of that shipment called him for the fee, the technician said, "Well, it's $10,000, please." And then the manager said, "What? $10,000? You just spent a minute, turning that bolt or that cable. Could you send me an invoice?" And then the technician says, "Sure, I'll send you an invoice." And so then what he puts on the invoice, he puts like $1 fixing the machine, $9,999 knowing what cable to fix, or what bolt to turn,
Yeah, I love it.
And so definitely it's about knowing what thing to turn on, what bolt to turn, or what cable to fix, and not just the outcome. It's like the knowledge you've gathered over the years of learning what what triggers to switch on.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure. And at some point you also, it's a great place to get where you don't need the client, or you don't need anything from the person that you're trying to work with, right? Whether that's relationships or to be with, I guess. You don't need anything. So you're willing to actually say no to them. And that's actually a great strategy in sales. Like, you know, at 25K, if I present that price and they say no, I'm fine. So I don't need them to say yes. I'm not selling them something that isn't going to benefit them. In fact, I've got on sales calls that they had plenty of money and I haven't even presented price. Hey, I don't think I can help you. I always tell guys 3 things. And if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. 3 things. Number 1, coachable. You have to be coachable. Like, I work with a lot of successful guys that don't just listen to anybody. So I really drill down on that. Committed for a minimum of 12 months. I work with my clients at that level for 12 months. Committed means showing up on time, not rescheduling, not being casual with this relationship. Committed. And then being ready for change. Like, actually ready to deal with the stuff that you know needs to change. And if they can't say yes to those things, or if I discern on the sales call that they're not really serious about it, I have no problem saying, look, I don't think I can help you. Here's a couple of resources. That really gives me the audacity to charge 25K, because I know I don't just do it to get the money. Yeah.
That's powerful. Yeah. No, that frame of like, you know, not needing them and screening them and qualifying them instead of you having to qualify yourself to get them to buy.
Well, you do it in dating with guys.
Yeah,
you
exactly. Exactly. I teach this, and that reflects into sales and business as well, as we're discussing now. So that whole frame is really the most powerful one when it comes to sales negotiation, even with women. Like, you got to be the one detached from the outcome, and you got to be the one weeding out the wrong people and delighting the right people, but being okay with not sleeping with a hot girl if she doesn't fit, or not signing up that client if he doesn't fit your avatar or your archetype.
Yeah.
So that's
well,
really
it's
powerful.
one thing to do it, and it's another thing to be it.
Also,
like, doing it because you actually don't need to sleep with the girl, and then just doing it because you know not sleeping with the girl will maybe make her more attracted to you.
Yeah.
Right? That's 2 different things.
True.
It doesn't matter where you start. These are just the dynamics. And hopefully you can get to a point where you internally are so validated that if you see something that isn't for you at whatever level, casual, committed, long-term, short-term, you can pass on that. That's a great place to get to in life. That's a very rewarding, fulfilling place to get in life. But you don't have to just start there. Understand what's at play, understanding some of these rules of the game that we're describing, and then operate by those. Yeah.
I have a question for you. So I want to know how you manage your money. Let's say you go back to my age and you had 200-300 grand in your bank account to your name, which is pretty good, pretty comfortable for most people. Let's say you had 200 grand in your bank account, my age. What would you do? How would you multiply that? I see you have a good Rolex on. You spend some, you're not that frugal. I noticed, like, you're not that frugal. You're willing to spend. You like nice cars, nice watches, going on trips.
Yeah.
So how do you manage your money? Do you invest your money? If you had my age, what would you invest in this day and age with what you know now? And yeah, just curious.
I don't have 200 grand in my bank account right now. And I would say if you have 200 grand in your bank account right now, then you're losing money. I mean, investing, I'm not going to give financial advice, but you can never start investing too early. I mean, so investing takes an understanding. That's where I would have started earlier. Understanding money, understanding how money works, understanding my mindset around money, what my limiting beliefs were around money. You know, I'm the kid that followed my mom into a pawn shop when she was pawning her flute from high school. She had 3 kids in the car, me and my 2 sisters, and I followed her into the pawn shop, even though she told us to stay in the car because she was probably embarrassed. She was pawning her flute from high school so that we could eat that day.
Shit.
I watched that. You know, I asked her, how much did you get? She told me what she got. I even said, oh, that's not enough. I remember that so vividly. And that little boy also went in and paid for milk with food stamps. They used to be actual dollars, brown, blue, red. That was all hardwired into my mind from an early age. I would have got to work on rewiring that stuff earlier. Money is like anything else. It requires an understanding of how things work.
Financial literacy.
Well, here's a simple way of looking at it. First, understand how to make it.
Yeah.
Active income.
Cash flow.
Get that down. Understand how to make it, and then understand how to keep it.
How do you multiply it?
And then understand how to multiply it. And don't get in too big of a hurry to learn how to multiply it before you've learned how to make it. That distracts a lot of guys. One of my clients, he's on paper, he's a millionaire, Estonian guy. I won't give any details about him because people will know who he is. But one of the greatest gifts I gave him as a 28-year-old who is already financially free, he's living off of his investments, is the idea of active income.
How old is he?
He's 28, 29. Got into a good amount of money because he was a professional athlete. And then after athletics, he fell into coaching. And because of his reputation, he just was making a lot of money. And he was around a lot of financially successful people who kind of took him under his wing. So he got into the real estate investing game quite early. He had money from these investors that would say, hey, go help us make money in Estonia. So he became a millionaire relatively quickly, but he was living off of what most people want, passive income, but his lifestyle wasn't improving. And he was only thinking, how do I go get more investments? How do I raise more money? He wasn't thinking about active income. How can I use my skills right now, day to day, with this time, energy, freedom that I have of youth to go out and work and make an active income? We got him doing that. His lifestyle automatically improved. But most guys get that backwards. Like they try to get the investments and the passive income, but they don't have it, but they're focused only on that. So they're making the same mistake. It's just they don't have that nest egg already at 27, 28. So that's where I would have started, man. Like I oddly was never really motivated by money. I was motivated by the things money could buy.
Status,
all of that. But my detriment was that because of being an athlete and because of just my ability to charisma, all these things, I was experiencing high status experiences without the money. I still to this day look like I'm worth more than I am. I understand that. It's that before that fueled me, the outward appearance of wealth, the outward appearance of success, that put me back decades because I would overspend. I would live outside of my means because I was trying to keep up with the appearances. That was a massive mistake that I made. Instead of still showing up as who I am, I don't have to mute or downplay who I am, but asking more questions when I get around people that are wealthy, not feeling like I need to project when I'm around people that are very clearly in a different tax bracket, actually saying, hey, I don't know where to put this money. I've got 10 grand or 5 grand or 1,000 extra bucks in my bank account right now. Where can I put that? What should I do with it? I wasn't willing to ask those questions when I was your age.
Knowing what you know now, that's the question. Knowing what you know now, and let's say you're back to 27, 28 years old, and you have $200,000 in your bank account in 2025. What would you do now to multiply it, like the younger version of you, the younger Nick at 27, with that the knowledge you have now? Where would you invest it? What would you do in 2025? And let's say you know how to make it, because let's say you had these business courses and you know how to make, let's say, 20, 30 grand a month.
Yeah.
Do you invest in real estate or in index funds or in stocks? Or?
Yeah. I'm a S&P 500 guy.
Yeah.
Slow, long-term play.
What's your broker? Interactive Brokers?
Yeah.
I'm going to invest in that more.
Yeah.
It's a great broker. Okay, so you invest in S&P 500, Vanguard or whatever.
Yep.
Long-term.
Yeah. And now I'm not, because I got into the game about 10 years ago, I don't have to be as aggressive, right? For big hits, big wins. So it's slow and steady and build for the long term. That's the way I approach.
Do you invest every month religiously?
Yeah, I've been on autopilot. So Robinhood, is a great app that can take a percentage of your income and invest it automatically out of your, let's say you're getting a 2-week paycheck or consistent income, whatever. I would say automate that, live off a smaller percentage than you're investing. Just understand that doing anything is better than doing nothing. And that seems like such a simple thing. But here's what I know about most people, because I was one of those people until I was in my mid-30s. I didn't do the simple foundational things. That's what most people are fucking up. That's what I was fucking up. I didn't pay attention to my money. I didn't educate myself. I didn't challenge my limiting beliefs. And because of that, I wasted a ton of time and a ton of money. Yeah.
So you should invest as early as possible in those index funds.
Yeah. If you're not, if you're not doing that, if you're not already doing that, then stop spending so much time looking at crypto pumps and trying to figure all that shit out. Like, yeah, that stuff's fun. It's sexy. Like, yeah, I bought some playing cards when that was a good investment. I play around, but overall, it's about the foundational, predictable, long-term plays that if you just start now, you're going to be in good shape. You don't need 15 million in the bank when you get to retirement. You don't need that amount of money. And that's what a lot of people think you need. I mean, is it going to be nice to have that? Yes. But if you can get to your first 100,000 invested as early as possible, then you can really build. If you have $1 million, $2 million in the bank by retirement, $2.5 million in the bank by retirement, you can just live off of that
with the compound interest.
Yep. Oh, and have a very nice life. Stop making the numbers so big in your mind that you need. That's what I did. Those are the mistakes that I made.
Yeah, man. No, that's true. Yeah. Plus in Estonia, I mean, if you have more than 100 grand in your bank account, it's not even safe, because if the bank has a fuck up or something, you're only guaranteed the 100K. Above that, you're not, and you're losing to inflation. And there's so many downsides to keeping a lot of money in cash.
You can. It's just real easy to put it somewhere where it's going to make more money than in a savings account. Like it's really easy. But that's the thing. Like, you can't make the learning bigger than it needs to be. And again, I'm getting into all of the mistakes, the things I would teach myself at 27. These are the things I would say at 27.
Yeah, thank you for that, by the way. That also kind of reaffirms the fact that I need to invest more into that, because sometimes 1 month I invest and then for 3 months I don't invest, and it's not on autopilot.
Put it on autopilot, man.
Yeah, I don't know how to put it on autopilot with my Estonian bank and Interactive Brokers. I need to do it manually. I don't think there's a thing where they take it automatically. I have to check.
I don't know how it is in Europe. Like, everything I do is set up through the US with
Robinhood is good, man. I need to find out a system for that, because
just buy just get a couple of savings accounts within your bank that can send the money direct from your checking into a savings. You can get multiple savings. You should be able to with your bank, at least one. And they should have who do you bank with?
LHV.
Yeah, I bank with LHV.
Yeah, but can they send on autopilot every month at a certain date?
So I do this with my daughter as well. So we have an account. We have an account for her that we're putting money into. We have a few, but one, it takes out, I can't remember what it is. Like, I think it's $300 a month or something like that. And it just pulls it directly from
the checking.
It's on a date, because, my income's coming in, on different dates, but it comes out on a specific date and it just comes out automatically. Okay. So that account doesn't have to be for your child. It can be for anything. So they can do it.
But you don't want to keep it in the savings, though. You want to put it to investments at some point in the case that we talked about.
First step would be getting it into a different account. And then you could think about the other thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what we do. We think too much about step number 3 and not about step number 1. So it's like, if you want to save more money, or if you want to have more money and you're not saving, don't think about investing. Don't spend time researching it. Figure out how to save some money. And then you can get to the investing piece later. Yeah. So just take it step by step and you're going to be just fine.
Okay, great. And last few questions. We don't have time anymore. What are your top 3 books and your last piece of advice for men listening to this, for your future son maybe? What's your last piece of advice? What are your top 3 books or resources that helped you along the way? And how, this is another question. I'm sorry, I asked many questions in a row. Yeah. But also, would you protect your daughters in the future from negative influences of society? You've seen all these OnlyFans girls or all that sexualized society, you know. I remember you spoke in your story about your daughter putting makeup on and dancing and whatever, and you said that how do you protect your daughters from that, from promiscuity, from OnlyFans, from all of that, and also your last piece of advice for men, anyways, real quick because we don't have time.
Okay, one of my favorite scriptures is Romans 8:28. It says, "We know that God causes all things to work together for the good of those who love Him and are called according to His purpose." So there's 3 parts there. So when it comes to advice I'd give to men, believe in something bigger than you that gives you purpose, and it will make the unpredictable, unexplainable make sense. That's what that scripture means to me. That's the advice I would give to young men. And I give that advice to myself to influence and impact my daughter. My daughter's going to experience the world. My daughter's going to become, God willing, exactly who God intended her to be. And I want to remove myself as much from that as I can responsibly. So I see my relationship with my daughters as me introducing them to a heavenly Father. And my role is to do my best to embody that type of love, that type of care, grace, acceptance, willingness, consistency, so that they can grow closer to Him. Because eventually I'm going to be gone.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's how I try my very best to show up for my daughters, imperfectly, but that's the way I see it. Yeah, and the books, a great book, if you want to get to source content, there's derivatives on derivatives on derivatives out in the world today of personal development. A few years ago, I decided I'm going to see who the mentor is, who taught the mentor I'm reading. So I started looking for source content, and one of the greatest source contents in personal development is a book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz.
Yeah.
It is the foundation of pretty much any book that has been written around self-awareness, self-esteem, your self-consciousness, and your self-worth. And so that's a great source content that was written early 60s that is super relevant to today. And of course, you know, I'm a big believer in the Bible as well.
Yeah. Amazing, man. So, I mean, thanks for all of that. I have so many other things to talk about, but maybe in another one day.
We'll run it back, man. We'll do part 3.
Yeah, well, never 2 without 3, as they say.
Yeah, man.
So, anyways, it was great.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Oops, the mic. But yeah, it was great. It was great. How can people find you? Last thoughts. How can people find you?
At Nick Connor on Instagram is a great place to find me right now.
At Nick Connor, guys. So go check him out. And yeah, see you.